Greetings, everybody. This is Dr. Jason Johnson. As per the usual, you are on my YouTube channel. You know the routine. Like, subscribe, and share. We are pushing to get to about 20,000 followers by the end of June. We've been doing great. We're at like close to 15, 16,000 now. So it's only 4,000 more. Thank you so very much for following me. If you're watching this on Instagram, you know the routine. I'm only going to talk for about a minute or so. I'm going to give you the 3 topics, and then the full conversation is always on my YouTube. That's where I get into in-depth discussions. Instagram is totally for information that is like immediate and frightening and scary and happening in that moment. So 3 things to talk about today, because again, there's, as usual, a ton of things going on. So the first thing is this: what is happening on the ground right now in Los Angeles? I am here in Los Angeles. I can tell you what the status of things are, as opposed to what you might be seeing on some news channels. Number 2, why is this happening now? We're going to have a conversation about Senator Padilla, who was tackled yesterday, and Kristi Noem, who's head of Homeland Security, and what's going on with Donald Trump and why that affects things. And number 3, the most important thing, as per the usual, what you can do, because there's something that you can do besides just watching right now. So let's start off with the first thing. What's actually happening in Los Angeles? So I can tell you, the last video I did, I talked about being in downtown Los Angeles on Sunday, right? And seeing the protest downtown and recognizing, okay, like there's protests going on, but it's nothing major. So I can tell you, here it is almost a week later, what Los Angeles looks like. And I am just shocked to tell you, it's the same. Los Angeles is generally fine. The vast majority of the city, I cannot stress this enough, the vast majority of the city, people are still going to work, eating. Like, work has not been disrupted. Pride events haven't been disrupted. Los Angeles is still functioning as a city. But here's the thing: the downtown is now completely mobbed in some areas by law enforcement. I was downtown just 2 days ago. I was downtown earlier this morning, and you see more cops and you see protesters, you see police, you see military police, you see ICE agents, you see all these different sort of people blocking down different kinds of streets, but everyone is continuing to live their life on a regular basis. So again, if you hear any fear mongering out there, if you hear anything that suggests Los Angeles is out of control or on fire, it's not. It is not. The city is still functioning and moving. Metro lines haven't even been changed, right? So Los Angeles actually looks fine. Now, why should you care about that, right? Like, this is a key thing, because a lot of people are like, I don't care, I don't live in Los Angeles. Because what it suggests is that this idea of a city in chaos that's being pushed by the Trump administration isn't a true one, right? The city is not out of control. The city is not in danger one way or another. The other thing that I want to point out that's very key about what you see happening downtown is a lot of this military presence is because you're going to have these No King protests happening on Saturday. And those are going to be happening around the country in anticipation of Trump's birthday and everything else like that, fighting back against him. What will probably end up happening is conflicts between protesters on Saturday and all the military presence day movement. But that's the first thing. Los Angeles itself is still fine. It's not on fire. It's not exploding. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe the myths. You don't have, hundreds of thousands of undocumented people running through the streets. You don't have looting. I was just in Chinatown. People were boarding up things, but everything is still fine. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because the president of the United States is basically trying to invade an enemy. And I've said this before, but I need you to understand this because of what's happened in the last 24 to 48 hours. You have Kristi Noem, who is the head of Homeland Security. She said in a press conference yesterday, she says, we are going to stay in Los Angeles until we have liberated the city from the destruction and socialism that has been implemented by the governor and the mayor. I need you to understand that the head of Homeland Security has said on national television and an office full of federal employees that basically they're going to be an occupying army in the city of Los Angeles. I want you to understand this. The head of Homeland Security says they're going to occupy the city of Los Angeles basically until either the governor or the mayor are no longer in power. They're going to occupy the city of Los Angeles until the democratically elected officials are removed. That's what they're saying. Remember, this is after a week where the president and several Republican members of the Senate have called for Gavin Newsom to be arrested. It's an invasion. Okay, it is an invasion. It is a domestic occupation. That's what you have going on here. And the motivation behind this is what you saw with Senator Padilla. So you saw there was a video a day or so ago. Senator Padilla wants to ask Kristi Noem a question, which is well within his rights. He's on the oversight committee in the Senate as a member of Congress. It's his right to ask questions, but it's the same thing we saw with Congresswoman McIver up in New Jersey. The whole point of this by Donald Trump is to intimidate and frighten opposition forces so they don't do anything. If there's viral video of Padilla getting thrown down by federal agents, if there's viral video of Ras Baraka getting arrested, if there's viral video of Congresswoman McIver, if there's all this video of anyone standing against Trump who's an empowered elected official getting thrown down and beaten up, if that's happening, what that delivers to the American people is there's no reason to resist. There's no reason to fight back. You can't fight back. You can't resist. He's going to do whatever it is he wants to do. That is the whole purpose of this. The purpose is to frighten and intimidate you into not doing anything. He wants you to give up. And I don't want this to sound hyperbolic because people are out there saying, well, you know, we can survive this and we can deal with this one way or another. No, you don't want this to become normal. Okay, so number two, the purpose of all of this is so that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, can establish a precedent for sending in invading armies and troops into areas or cities that he deems as being not supportive of him. That is the whole goal of this. It's not a distraction from the budget bill, because the budget bill is bad enough. It's not a distraction from Iran, and Israel in conflict. It's not a distraction from anything else. It is what it is, people. It is what it is. It's an assault on a domestic American city. And like I said, for all the problems I got with Gavin Newsom, I don't know if this happens in Georgia, you've got the governor Abbott in Texas basically saying, come on down. Gavin Newsom saying, yo, pull up then, right? But if you've got Brian Kemp in Georgia, if you've got Ron DeSantis in Florida, if you have the governor of Virginia, a lot of these Republican governors, they will let these troops in to just take over. Okay. So that's the thing. Intimidation. Now, the third part is this, and this is the part that I always say is super duper duper important. What can you do? If you're watching this right now, and I've said this before, please like, subscribe, and share this information. A lot of the feedback that I get from people in the comments is like, thank you so much, Jason Johnson, for saying what we can do next. Because look, not everybody is an activist, not everybody is an organizer, not everybody's a journalist, not everybody's a scholar, but there's things that you can do. So earlier in the week, I told you that you should call your member of Congress and get your documentation together. What should you be doing now if you are in a city that is not Los Angeles, but you're concerned about what's happening here? If you've already called your elected officials and if you've already got your documentation together, here's the next step. Start calling your local police departments. I know this sounds like a crazy idea, but listen to me on this. Call your local police departments and say to them, and call the policemen's unions, right? And say to the policemen's unions, there are complaint lines for the police department. And you can call in as an American citizen, you can call in anonymously and say, please, local police department, we would like you to not participate in any of the violent crackdowns happening in community. I know you're thinking, Jason, why are they going to care one way or another? Do you think police unions don't listen to people? Do you think the police don't have complaint lines? I promise you, they do actually respond to these sorts of things. If you were flooding the police department, it's very interesting. They'll call local radio stations and complain. People will call schools and complain. But how often do the American people get together and call police departments and complain about police behavior? It actually doesn't happen enough. And that's why the police oftentimes can act with impunity. You can call the local police department and say, hey, I'd like to speak to your complaints department. I don't think the police department should participate in this. You can call the local policemen's union and leave a note and leave a message and leave an email. And I know some of you are saying, oh my gosh, are they going to track me? No, because you can leave these anonymously or you can send an email, and your email address doesn't necessarily give your home address. The public police work for you. The politicians work for you. That is something you can do, and you don't have to march in the street. And I promise you, 100,000 phone calls to a local police department is going to change their behavior. 100,000 emails to a local police union is going to change their behavior. There's so many different ways that if you're not in this city and you don't want to be the next Los Angeles, you don't want to be the next place that the president sends troops into, then act at your local level. Go to your city council meetings. Call your local police departments, call your local federal agencies and say, we don't want these raids here. We don't want this kind of activity here. We don't want this kind of participation and cooperation with federal forces. If the federal ICE people want to come in, fine, but we don't want our local police department to be involved. Believe it or not, they can actually say no. So, as I said before, 3 things. 1, the city of Los Angeles is fine. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the nonsense. The city is not in danger. That is one thing. Number 2, this is all part of a huge plan on the part of this administration to attack American cities, to intimidate people, and to make sure that there's no shape, way, or form that people want to resist. That's why they want to attack elected officials, and they want you to see that on television. Don't be fooled. And number 3, what can you do if you're not in Los Angeles and you may be afraid of marching out in the streets one way or another? Call your local police departments. Call your local police unions and complain and say that you do not want them to participate in this. Trust me, those messages will get to city council, those messages will get to the mayors, and you may have people who are willing to resist. And I want to close with this, a special bonus thing really quickly. This is not about immigration, everybody. Immigration can be solved, but immigration doesn't have to result in an occupying of an American city, and it doesn't have to result in throwing down elected officials and beating them down. This is Jason Johnson. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to be posting again probably tomorrow once these protests actually happen. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe out there.